Okay, we have I think we're ready to go. Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is the meeting of the Trees and Green Infrastructure Committee on May 18th, 2023 in lovely City Hall. And we have obviously, but the agenda is included on the city website if you want to follow along. And we have a number of items to talk about and discuss. I think the first order of business is the call to order and the roll call. I'm going to cite everybody's names. We have Andrea Huffman.
Here.
Jennifer Duncan. Here. Diana Jones. Here. Chair Bunky Markert. We have a quorum, and I'm talking into the microphone even better. Oh, not everybody else. You're going to move your, yeah. Everybody get close. Okay. I'm going to just make a little parenthetic audio statement here, which I violate more than anybody. But if you ever have the opportunity to speak in public, the microphone is your friend, you know, and be acquainted with it. And that's because a lot of times, especially at these meetings, you know, they're recorded. We can hear you in the room, but you know, people at home, when it's being recorded, can't. So it makes it better, especially for people like me who don't hear very well. Okay, that's my little editorial comment for the day. Also, here is Liz Lingo, our city arborist, and we always welcome Liz to be here and to join and to assist us, and as she has, and we certainly appreciate it. Did everybody get a chance to see my turgid prose for the last month's meeting? That was a rousing meeting you had last month. I'm sorry I couldn't be here, but it seems like you covered a lot of territory, and you know, as entertainment value goes, it was right in there, you know, which you don't find too much in these meetings. Okay, but anyway, anybody willing to make a motion to approve the minute?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. And Andrea has second. Okay, I would just do an all in favor, say aye.
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 I think we have everybody here and present, and although I was not, so maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but anyway, it's approved. As far as I know, we don't have any correspondence before us, and I'll just state that we've been sort of using a template agenda simply because we cover some of these topics are ongoing. I think we may have one maybe drop off, maybe the Arbor Day. Now that it's behind us, we probably won't need to talk about it anymore. But and anyway, but there are a number of things that actually came up last meeting that I'd like to talk about and to further talk about some of the things we've been working on. Okay, as far as I know, from what was mentioned last month with regard to that we're not going to be getting monthly updates for the commemorative tree program, which is fine, and looks like we're doing a bang-up job with that, with the money with the donations coming in and so forth. But so I'm not going to discuss that topic at this meeting. We may have it return on a subsequent meeting. The tree mapping, I don't think we talked about that last month either, but that's something that we will probably revisit. But just for now, I think we're gonna bypass it. I guess I'm just gonna go down the list, and everybody, unless anybody has a reason to focus on something before.
On the tree commemorative program and
Yeah.
donations, Andre and I were at the farmer's market.
Oh, okay.
We sat
Oh,
for.
okay.
Yes.
And I'll let her talk because she did most of the work.
Well, I'm not sure. We spent 4 cold hours
Really?
sitting. The weather was lovely when we sat down at 10, but by 11:30, she had to go home and get us coats. So
okay.
we gave out a fair number of brochures, and I would say that at the very end We gave a brochure to someone, and there is a possibility of a sale from that. We did not make any sales that day, but we did give
Okay.
out brochures, and there is one possibility. I actually got a phone call from somebody following up that we gave something to
Okay.
at the very last minute.
That's
So
good.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. But we were asked if we would like to do another day in June, and that's a question. Jennifer, how do you feel about another day in June? It would be warmer.
As long as it's warm and it's not raining.
Okay, all right. There's a possibility then we'll do another try in June.
Were you out in the open, or did they give you a
Under
tent?
the, no, we have a tent.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we also had, we've got posters and, we were equipped.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll see if we can do another day in June.
Yeah, I think one of the takeaways was that a lot of the people were unfamiliar with the program.
Sure.
And some actually thought it was, we were looking for donations and pulled out their wallets and cash. And then, we explained and what the wall in City Hall. So it was, I think, very educational as well.
Yep.
Yep.
So, let's see.
I mean, I think I'll just mention, I'm sure it's fine, although I would maybe direct people, if they want to make a donation, to come to City Hall to make it. But, you can make a contribution without, going through.
Right. Yeah.
There was some discussion, and stop me if this is a FOIA violation, 'cause I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But there was some discussion about the purchase of the tree is not a charitable donation, meaning it cannot be deducted from your taxes.
I believe that's correct.
And so there was some side discussion between Andrea and I about could this possibly be moved to an organization that is 501c so that people making considerably large contributions can get a tax deduction?
Well, okay.
Or is that new
No, that's,
business?
no, I mean, I think it's within the realm of this. I mean, there, you can establish an organization that supports a particular, non-for-profit use or whatever. And like, for example, there's the Friends group that supports the library and that kind of thing. But it has to be established,
Or can it be run under an existing organization?
I think
that
it's
is a
possible, but
501c3.
right, but I think you have to have that organization be, you have to have sort of a charter, and you have to have the mandate of what the organization about, and if it doesn't really coincide, I don't think it's appropriate for them to be collecting and then passing. And I mean, I think if you want to do it correctly, one could establish an organization. For example, we've had things like, it doesn't have to be a 501c3 because that's a specific designation within the U.S. government code or whatever. But you can like, for example, you can have like a homeowners association, and the homeowners association is there, for their express purpose. However, they are not necessarily a 501c3, but they're able to collect things, for dues and so forth and so, that kind of thing. So I don't know specifically, but you can set up an organization that would support this, and then they would be charitable contributions. So we can look into that if we want to put that in as a as a possible future agenda item.
Yes, I think that would be a good
okay.
idea.
Well, let's do that. Hang on. Okay, contributions. All right. Sorry to hold up here. All right. Well, thanks for bringing that up, and I'm glad you guys had that. I'll mention too. I want to give a little shout out to the market manager, Pat Caluzzi. She has had a she broke her wrist is what she did, and she was operated on successfully on Tuesday while you guys were doing that.
Oh, my goodness.
So anyway.
I did not know that.
So we're, part of the injury club here, Anyway, but she, from what I gather, she's doing well, but we wish her well, and we appreciate her help in promoting our cause here at the farmers market.
You must have seen her before.
Yeah, well, what can I tell you? Anyway, all right. Now we can launch into, and thank you for bringing that up, the education initiative. And I felt like that was something that we had, for a future agenda item. But I'm trying to figure out sort of, I think we left a number of things sort of up in the air last meeting. So I just want to talk about, I think it was, Liz had suggested the forestry service and to contacting them, and I didn't know if that was going to move forward or not, or at least is somebody taking charge of that, or what do you want to do with that?
Keisha, who was our
closer.
Keisha, who is our contact person, Jennifer got in touch with her. We had tried to get in touch with her, but she did not return the call. I think probably the next step is just calling Ashley, and I did not do that yet, but I will.
Okay.
So I can get a hold of Ashley, and she's the one who gave us Keisha's name. So
Okay.
I will do that.
Okay.
Do you have anything more to add? Because I do have something that I want to ask people about.
Sure.
I guess, Liz, have you ever heard of an organization called, just find out, Healthy Lawns, Healthy Waters?
Yeah, I believe they're the ones that send you like the free soil sample
Yes.
and about it used to be they would give you a little gift card if you participated in their program. I don't know if they still do that, but yeah, it's a good program.
Is it a good program? Because I just got a very nice brochure. I don't know where I picked it up.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, they are the Delaware Nursery and Landscape Association. And that's, I guess, that's the name of the organization. But they have a really nice brochure. And they also, I was wondering whether they have somebody that would be interested in coming by. This is, they've done a really nice job on, and I should send this around, and I will do it the next time. I just really found it a couple of nights ago. How to maintain a healthy lawn and have minimal impact on the watershed. And they talk about leaving grass clippings on your lawn, including more than just grass in the landscape. And I was thinking, if we can't get rid of lawns altogether, this might be an interesting program to have, how to make your lawn more environmentally, I guess, more environmentally appropriate. They're talking about verifying your lawn needs for fertilizer testing. Make sure that you test before, don't just apply. And then establishing a no-mow buffer around waterways and around your home so that bugs and things can also like your lawn. So anyway, I was wondering if this was something worth pursuing with this group. I sort of thought that we do have a fair number of lawns around, and this might be an interesting topic.
Well, that was one of the topic discussions from last meeting, and you had one. I mean, I didn't see the one from before, but what was that one?
The topic, well, one of them was the thing that you were interested in, which is pine needles and the fire.
No, but wasn't like last year or 2 years ago?
Oh, yes, we talked about it. We didn't actually, we were talking about, I know what you're talking about. We were talking about alternatives to lawns.
Right.
And I don't know, Liz, I'm going to ask you this question. I know that there've been a number of people that have tried, I myself put in Creeping Jenny, and I just discovered that I'm not supposed to have Creeping Jenny.
Yeah, that was a strange one to make that list to me. but-
Yes, I know. But I guess the question is, are there things that will spread that you can use in spaces large enough for, front yards, that they spread fast enough?
I mean, I think the whole idea behind lawn replacement is to have like gardens and native plants and minimize your turf.
Right.
Because turf
Is-
is, out of all the natural things, turf is the worst one. It has the highest runoff ratio, it has the highest chemical needs, it has the highest maintenance, like for whoever is taking care of that lawn.
Exactly, yes.
It's the most work with the least environmental benefit. But I mean, lawns have their place too. Like you want to go play with your child or your grandchild, you need a lawn, right? Or a park or something. So, they have their places, but areas that aren't like front yards, for example, very rarely are used as like a lawn capacity. It's more about an aesthetic. And there have been some people around town, if you look, that I can think of, Sturgis and Tom, they replaced their.
It hasn't spread the way you would like.
I don't know.
mean,
I don't know.
it's
I know they
young.
replaced it, but I think the idea of minimizing your turf is a good one. And I saw something the other day where somebody, not in town, but like on the internet, they had planted like a native grass. Like people use like mondo grass. I think I saw like somebody doing buffalo grass.
Yeah.
And like a year later, by the time it spread, it looked an awful lot like turf, really.
The mondo grass? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because you plant them close enough. I inherited some when I bought my house. I didn't even pay attention. I was mowing over them. I'm like, wait, that's not fescue. Like they just kind of blended in.
Definitely last year's lecture did focus on lawns
Okay.
and lawn alternatives. It definitely did. I haven't seen much, as I walk around, I haven't seen much that suggests that.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at in context of the, one of the things that the commissioners are well, we're in the throes of, let's say, have to do with the stormwater, the setting up of a stormwater utility and so forth, and the obviously primary issue with regard to that is the fact that as a result of climate change and so forth, we're having much larger rain events and so forth, and so I mean I think all this is more than appropriate. I mean it's vital, I think, so to talk about, and obviously we live in a very flat city, with not a lot of means for water to escape and so forth and so on, and so I mean I think we should be considerate of all we can do in this new environment that we're in, so to speak. So
As I'm looking at the list of participants in this livable lawns, I mean, it's Delaware Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, it's a
I mean, it's
coalition.
got a lot of people, Grounds Management Association, Nature Society. If it's okay, I'm going to pursue
Sure,
this
absolutely.
and see what happens. Liz, let me ask you another question about how do you feel about rock gardens? I've raised this with you once before.
Gardens. What do you like? Gravel or?
No, I'm talking about rocks interspersed with flowers.
I mean, I'm not sure I know what you're envisioning. Like, we do use boulders in landscaping. Like,
Right.
I've used them
are you talking
here.
about like a Japanese garden?
I'm talking about
But a rock-
smaller rocks.
A rock garden to me is you have really rocky soil and you make a garden out of it.
No,
Like interspersing random like a few boulders here and there as like decorative accents is not a rock garden to me. But I don't know technically.
okay. I'm a New Englander, so I'm a New Englander. So these rocks were, say, yay big, okay, like this. And then interspersed in them were flowers and little green things. I know that a rock would be considered non-permeable, right?
I don't know what you mean by, what
It
does that
doesn't
matter?
absorb.
It doesn't. It would count in your
Well, there's no permeable or non-permeable or pervious. It's coverage, accessory or structural, the zoning code, or natural area, which is grass, natural grass, plants, or mulch,
not stones.
not rocks, no.
So I'm just saying, if you brought a rock in,
Right.
you'd have to deduct that from your natural area.
Yeah, 'cause
I mean, it'd be like a paver or something like
Yeah,
that.
it would count,
right,
yeah.
right,
That
right,
answers my
right.
question.
Yeah, it would count the same as a
Mm-hmm.
paver, and if it didn't, if it counted like grass or mulch, we'd end up with nothing but graveled front yards everywhere, I think.
Yeah, right. Well,
And we're not, it's funny because in different areas, like in the Keys, the ground is all limestone, so nobody has grass. It is all gravel there, but it's, for them, that's what's natural, and the turf actually looks strange. So, just
All right.
depends.
jump right in.
I have just a comment. If we're going to talk about, or potentially a listing of different types of grasses instead of turf, like mondo grass, I think we should note which ones are not toxic to dogs and cats and which ones are, like the lily grass. A neighbor offered to give me some for the side of our yard of our house where we don't get sun and we have a lot of trees and we can't seem to grow anything green. And I looked up the lilies and no, they're toxic to dogs.
Oh, really?
But mondo grass is not, if what I read is correct.
I don't know.
I just Googled it while we were talking. But lilies, I was shocked that it is toxic to dogs and cats. So I think we need to be, keep that in mind if we're going to say, here are some green alternatives for your yard and ensure that they are not
Well,
toxic.
yeah, I think we would have to put that on the person planting it, because what if we got something
know,
wrong
but
or
just-
research changed, but it should be a footnote for
Yeah,
sure.
just let them
Yeah,
know.
I mean,
don't think we don't know.
I think even, in their own essence, even like a liriope could be considered an alternative.
What?
Liriope.
Liriope, you plant those, depending on which ones you plant, the one that spreads, the
little
spicata
funky,
can
yeah.
fill in the whole. I'd rather have that than mulch. Like, once you have that, you don't have to do any mulch anymore, barely, too.
Exactly, exactly, yeah. I mean, Liriope, so,
Hostas, same thing.
yeah.
You can't walk on hostas, but
I'll interject for those scoring at home. Liriope is a kind of a clumpy, little wide-bladed, grass-like looking plant that usually you put it along edging or, or
Filler.
set it out, and it fills out and that kind of thing, but it's like,
it's a perennial ground cover, so
yeah,
filler.
yeah.
Can you mow it?
Yeah, well, you usually mow it like in the beginning of the season, and then you just cut all the way back, and then it comes out.
You
looks,
don't have to do anything
you don't have to
to
do
it if you
anything
don't
with
want
it,
to.
but if you want it to look, want it to be kind of lower, that's,
Yeah, mow it in
yeah.
the late winter or
right.
early, whenever.
Yeah, we have. I'll just parenthetically say that the place we have in D.C. has a very large hillside of liriope, and they mow it.
Yeah, it looks nice. It comes. You can get
Yeah.
a couple different kinds: variegated, plain green, white,
Yeah.
white flower, purple flower.
And that's something you would prefer instead of turf, yes?
Environmentally, I think it'd be better. But
Yeah.
it's personal preference, right?
Yeah.
You may look
Yeah.
at that and say, oh, but it's almost one of those, if you have, say, and I think this is more what Andrea was getting at with the people aren't going to replace their entire lawns,
Right.
but say you have a 3-foot wide foundation bed, like most people have at their house.
Mm-hmm.
Why not push that out another 16 inches and have a row of liriope there? You're cutting out some turf, cutting out some chemical use, and you're putting in a nice green plant.
Yeah, and it
And
has a
that's
little.
low cost, low effort,
Yeah, it has a little bloom, a little kind of purple
purple
flower
or
that
white.
comes out.
You can get a Monroe white too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they come in a plain or variegated.
And I think-
Variegated.
I think that's worth pursuing with the livable lawns, you know,
Right,
to just.
right.
Well,
Some,
they might be willing, since it's the landscape association, they might be willing, if they do speaking and talks, they might be willing to talk about something else too, like maybe tie it into like a rain garden, if you want to tie it into like,
Into a rain garden.
yeah, stormwater or something, because rain gardens are something pretty, they're meant for like spot treatments on residential property.
I like that. All right, I'm gonna go for this.
okay.
I will
And I think
try and check
you
them
might
out.
want to touch base with Katie
Yes,
if her schedule would
yes.
permit us to be here, but anyway,
yes.
it's just a
I will-
little,
No, I will definitely do that. That's
Yeah.
a really, thank you. That's a good idea.
one of our members.
Okay.
We haven't seen her in a while. So I miss her. Okay. All right. Any other topics that we talked about as far as education initiatives?
We'll call Ashley. and
You're right,
see what
okay,
we
so I
can-
mean, that's
we'll
enough. I
follow
didn't
up
know
on
if there
that.
were any
Yeah, we'll-
others.
We'll follow up on that.
Got any ideas? Diana? Okay, just jump right in whenever, you know. Okay, all right, I'm gonna move on here. Boy, I can't wait to hear your thoughts about the Arbor Day. Okay, let's hear it one more time, okay?
I think not. However, I do have a plug here.
Okay, please.
Okay. I have been watering. Everybody know where those 3 trees are? They're looking great.
Okay,
I have been
good.
watering them. However, Liz, if there's any possibility you could find me an extension cord.
Yeah, I ordered one, it hasn't come in
You did,
yet though.
okay. Because Mr.
Extension
Mayor,
cord or
Mr.
extension?
Mayor saw me the other day and he said to me, Liz hasn't gotten you an extension yet. Anyway, thank you, if it's on its way.
oh,
So I would love it if there are other people here who would step up and just periodically go over there and see if the bags are empty.
I think she's looking at me since I walk my dog around that
That's
area.
that's a once a week, or if it doesn't,
Yeah.
if we don't have a good rain.
I've been doing it once a week.
Once a week,
And
okay.
if there is anybody here, I will talk to you about where I'm keeping.
I know where they are.
Okay.
So once a week for how long? Is it a month, 2 months, 3 months,
Well, we
6 months?
have to get it
no,
through
right.
fall. We have to get it
Get
through
it
the
through
fall.
fall?
Yeah, into the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, at least one season.
Yeah, okay. So anybody who's, thank you, Jennifer. Okay, so we'll switch off.
A couple
We're
blocks away.
close, we're close. But anyway, I think it looks great. The trees, Liz, thank you so much.
Yeah, they do look,
for
I
those
went by,
trees.
they look really good.
Yeah, they really do. So
well, it has rained like crazy, too.
It has rained, yes,
Yeah,
but,
okay, but that's good.
but they're good
I'm
trees.
just, I never understood how those bags work. I mean, how long does it take the water in them to release itself?
When it's dry, I mean, I don't really,
Well, it doesn't matter if it's
Right.
dry or not dry. The
just-
bag has holes in it at the bottom,
So
real
it just
small.
seeps, it just seeps out?
down.
Half an hour,
Oh,
hour,
oh, okay, so it's not like it's,
pending.
okay,
and they empty pretty quickly.
oh, okay,
Okay, they do empty pretty quickly.
okay.
Yeah, because you can always, like, in a spot like that, you can always fill them up twice. Do you know what I mean? Like, by the time you finish filling up the third one, go back and hit them one more time to
Yes.
just top them off if you
Yes,
want.
yeah.
Okay.
No, and I am so grateful for the water there. I am so grateful for that. That was a really good spot for us, and so,
Yeah, and
again.
it wasn't working before. It had to be replaced. So
I-
the water.
You know, I noticed that and you did the right thing, I think, bringing it out.
I didn't do that. That was the water department. I emailed them and I was like, hey, just as a reminder, can you make sure it's on for, because they usually go through and turn them all on at a certain time. And since that one's hidden, I figured it might accidentally get skipped.
Right.
So, and then next thing I know, Robert was like, we had to replace the whole thing and I moved it out closer to the road.
Well, interestingly enough, because he moved it out closer to the road, I bought 2. I have lost 2.
He told me that. People have stolen the $5 watering can.
Anyway.
Crazy.
Yes, they're crazy.
Really?
All right, so that's the only thing.
Desperate living out there.
Yes.
I did have another, I had another question.
And how are did you stop by, Liz, to see how are any of our kid planted?
I didn't look at those.
I didn't either.
They were because I didn't get out. I was riding by in my truck, and I was like, "Oh, look how green and leafy the trees are. They're doing
Yes.
well." But I didn't get out and look at
Well,
them.
I'm gonna, I've kind of not wanted to look, but I am going to take a look. Next time I'll report back how our little saplings are doing, so.
Well, I mean, listen, if a few live, that's more than enough because we.
Exactly, exactly. Any that make it or
I
fail.
had another question.
Yes.
Is it possible to fill them with a bucket? Like if you had a bucket of water as opposed to, like if you didn't have the hose?
It's hard.
It's
because
hard to do
There's
'cause
like a
it's-
little slot that's
Oh.
like kind of like sliding in the
Oh,
hose
so it's
into
better
a
with a hose.
pocket.
The hose would be better
Right,
because it would
okay.
be easier. What we're doing now is we have a watering can.
Oh,
Okay, so
Okay.
the watering can is, it takes about 4 things. I do about 4 fill-ups of the
I mean,
watering.
I would say even now, you probably wouldn't have even had to water them much this past
It's gonna rain again.
3 months,
This weekend.
probably.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I want them to, I love those trees, so I'm on them.
I mean, I think they say technically an inch of rain, and then you don't need to water.
Okay, Liz.
So,
All right, well, that's good to know,
Yeah,
especially
you
when it
could-
gets hot.
well, you can look up. I think it's like a random thing. It's a random weather thing. iweathernet.com or something strange, and they'll do rainfall maps, so you can click and
Oh.
set like the last 72 hours, and you can click on the place. I have it bookmarked on my computer because I use it all the time, and it'll tell you how much rain a specific location on the map
Can you
received.
forward that to me? Perfect.
Because like I said, you can't find. That's a hard, like, soil temperature maps and rain maps are really hard to find. So once I found that one, yeah, it's iweathernet.com. I know, it's strange.
Net.
I'll email it to you, Andrew.
Okay, be great, all right.
Okay.
But that way, save yourself a little bit of labor, if possible.
Wait,
But
I didn't know if you had any, well, the last meeting, it was basically what was going to happen. I was just curious if you felt the
Oh,
thing
it
went
was-
off
it was
as well
fabulous.
as.
It was fabulous, plus, I mean, we added all of the grades at the elementary school.
Really?
We went, Ashley was very, very wonderful with her time, and we did presentations in each of the
Okay.
each of the grades.
That's good.
And they all learned the songs. We had, new
Yeah.
songs.
And there's
so
a
it was-
new song for the
There
younger,
is a new song for the little
which
ones.
the one that already exists could be for them as well, I
Yes,
think. Yeah.
but that'll be when they get older. They'll
Okay,
get the
when they
4th
get
and
older,
5th
they'll
grade.
step up to
Yes,
the new song.
yes. I did take the other thing I will say is the feedback from the hanging of the pictures was extremely, it's
Yeah,
the first
that-
time
that-
I've heard this year, but people really stopped by and looked. And when they were coming down, I had a couple of people who worked in the building come by and say, I really enjoyed looking at these things. So it's really a hit.
Yeah.
And I think it was.
Yeah.
There were some wonderful
Gets the
pictures
kids
there.
out of the house.
So
and
I
all
took,
that.
I took it down yesterday.
Until next year.
Yes, until
do it
next
again.
year. Yes, yes, yes,
Well, let me
yes.
ask you, do you anticipate that that will be a recurring location or what?
Well, Liz, let me just, as long as we're talking about next year, I think the next location that I would like to do is the alternative that we had to this year's, which is that site where I've seen people working near the rain garden. Do you know where I'm talking about?
no, what rain garden?
Um,
We don't have a rain
Not the
garden?
rain garden, well, near where we planted a couple of years ago in the middle, by Bad Hair Day. And
At the park?
near the park, near the swings. That whole little area, remember that you and I had identified that we could put some trees there?
Yeah, the only thing about that area is there's a pending capital and project for there. So
Uh-oh.
it might be okay for next year, but I'm not sure.
What's what are they doing there? I saw them working.
No, it's not that. It's at one point they wanted, I mean, it was discussed in the budget meetings of the commissioners, so Bunky might know better than I do, but they wanted to dredge out that finger of Lake Gerard, which would include removing the swing set, and that whole area would probably look a little different. So it might be nice if that project was completed by the time we got to next Arbor Day. That could be a nice follow-up.
Right.
So if the world is perfect and everything goes according to plan, that would also be perfect, but it might be one of those where it would have to be pushed to not next year, but the year after that.
Okay, all right. So does everyone, do you know where we're talking about?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, all right.
All right, so,
I'll show you. Okay.
okay.
Okay, so that's, otherwise, Liz, I guess, you have any other thoughts on where? That would be my favorite because it's all, the closeness to the city hall for the art thing is really good.
No, I mean, I think that is a good spot if the logistics play out well with it. So,
All right. Well, we should also have a plan B, I guess.
I would just say that I was not prepared in any way, considering it was going to be such a warm morning, and I think the way we ended up doing it, I just felt like we weren't close together, as much as I thought we would be, and anyway, but I just wasn't. I missed that, you know what I mean? So anyway, so I just think we need, only thing I would say is like try to take that in consideration if we can,
The closer.
in terms of where we're gonna be and all that.
Yeah, it was a bigger site, in other words.
Yeah,
than you
because
were-
I mean, it
yeah.
was really, we had to find shade. It was, we were standing in the sun baking and everybody else is like, standing under the shade, which was great. And
Not
that's
trying to
where, that's
laugh
where
at
it
you,
should have
but-
been, but I just.
Although, Bunky, I would want to tell you something. You chose that spot.
I did, because I'm thinking, well, it's April the 21st, but it was just, anyway.
And let's face it,
I miss that.
We have had very cold Arbor days.
Yeah, or windy Arbor days.
Windy, cold, right, yeah.
yeah.
So,
maybe the backup spot can be if you go down the little wooden staircase at Lake Gerard.
yeah.
So like,
Oh, yes.
and down like on the buffer, because we have those weeping willows all along Lake Gerard, and they're kind of at the point where they need to come out, unfortunately, because there's more dead than alive left. And I was gonna have them all like replaced, but I can save a couple of spots and have
Yes.
that.
That'd be a good
Oh,
idea.
that's great. I mean,
So-
because there's going to be an Arbor Day after the Arbor Day anyway, so that would be great. If
Yeah,
you-
so maybe I can, because I was gonna do that the winter/spring. So if the first site doesn't work out logistically, then that can be our backup site.
Perfect, perfect.
Okay.
And that's, okay.
I gotta write
Yeah.
that down on
Alright.
there.
And I'll
I
find
got
out
it.
more about what the
Okay.
plans are with regard to.
Where is the second site?
The
So-
step, go ahead.
Do you, like where there's the wooden steps that lead down to Lake Gerard, like off of Olive?
Okay.
So you know where like we redid Lake Avenue Phase 2, the streetscape, expanded the triangle and all that. So at the east end of the triangle, across from Gerard Place, there is a, I don't know, 6 stairs, wooden staircase down to like the lower section of Lake Gerard, I call it. And you can go, and that runs the whole length behind Olive, and where it runs out to the dead end of Virginia and what is that, Second Street or First Street Bridge, whichever one it is. But back there, there's tons of room to plant trees, and there already are trees there, tons of room to plant them along the buffer. So kind of just in between the edge of like the vegetative buffer and where we actually mow the lawn.
What's the geese population like down there now?
Same, pretty much. You have your few.
We'll deal with that.
I mean, there's none down there that would like attack you if that's what you're asking, like to plant a tree. But but we have resident geese at Lake Gerard, yeah. So there'll always be geese.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. I think those are great 2 backups, and that's good to be thinking about. Okay.
Okay. I did want to, if I may, take in my official capacity to thank my cohorts, John Sheridan, who is a city resident, lives on Laurel Street, and Maria Vincent, who lives in the area, who helped me out for the Arbor Day celebration, and I just want to formally thank them. They were happy to do it and have been happy to do it. So anyway, but I appreciate their help in all this.
I think it's my turn to formally thank you, Bunky.
Okay, well, that's great.
So
We're sweating it out
let me
there.
just
I'm
tell
happy
you,
to
no,
do whatever
Bunky,
it is.
it wouldn't be Arbor Day without you,
Right,
okay?
that's
And I
true.
just want you to, I just want you to know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
anyway,
please, okay?
We do what we can, so, all right. I think, I'm going to check this one off, okay?
Yes.
Although I think continuing discussions as needed for
Yes,
future
of course,
plans and
yes,
everything, but I'm going
yes.
to mark this one off the list here. All right. Final topic under old business is discussion about the ivy infiltration, and we're still, if there's things we want to talk about, fine. I also want to add that, well, I'll get to that, but anyway.
Andrea has some updates on that.
I met yesterday with Lynn Cohn, and I wrote, I put together something for the next Lines in the Sand, which
Gotcha.
will be coming out on Wednesday.
All right.
And what I did was I used, and I used this, which we've introduced before and talked about before. I was able to scan this, and get it to her, and it has 3 easy steps. It shows 3 easy, the pictures show 3 easy steps to what you do to get rid of ivy that is on trees.
On trees,
So
okay.
that is there along with the language here. And then I basically, I took a tree that was covered with ivy, and I took the scream, the picture of the scream, and I shoved that onto the tree trunk.
Okay.
So the article starts out with ivy kills, and underneath it is a picture of the tree screaming, followed by 3 points about what ivy does for trees, why it's dangerous. And that is, ivy blocks out the sun and competes for nutrients. Ivy makes the tree heavy so that it is susceptible to falling over in storms and winds. And ivy creates moisture, holds moisture so that trees rot and attract mosquitoes. So that's the start, and then this is what you do. So it's a very, it's basically just points with
Good.
pictures.
I think that's
okay?
great. Sure.
And so she took it from me, and she said, perfect.
Good.
Okay?
Okay, well, that's swell.
So
Okay.
that'll be in, that will be in shortly.
Okay.
Okay?
But any other comments? I wanted to share with you, our most vocal enthusiast we have with us is Kitty Cole, and so, and she, just so you know, well, it's not pertinent really, but she calls me a lot, and I enjoy getting calls from her and seeing her, and everything. So, I consider her a friend of the Trees and Green Infrastructure Committee. So, but anyway, I visited her because she has called me about numerous things, and I just, and I am not. It's interesting. I think I live in the southwestern portion of the city, and I know the city reasonably well. But I really do not know Lake Gerard at all, and I don't know how I've managed to isolate myself from Lake Gerard, but I have. So I've been now over there a couple of times, and it's a lovely area, and it's a garden spot of the city. But and where she's situated and what she's abuts, in terms of the lake and the scenery and all that kind of stuff. But she has. If there's, I don't think there's anyone in the city that has the perspective she has with regard to how this place has been for the last, approaching 100 years. And by the way, mark your calendars, July 7th, okay? That's her birthday. Okay, so all right. Anyway, but one of the things, and there's certain things that she's like concerned about that I don't think we can support, and I'm not gonna get into that, but she's very critical. I mean, she would very much like things to be the way they were, and that's a laudable, desire, I think, but things have changed, in the last 75 years, and I don't think we can expect, to return to those things. However, I think the things that are before us is in particular about she's very sensitive about the buffer that's been placed against the edge of the lake and everything. But that's actually, I think, a good thing. It helps protect the lake and kind of hold back runoff and so forth and so on. So I think she's more concerned about it for aesthetic reasons and so forth. But one of the things that she showed me, and there is some ivy infestation over there, and that's something we can talk about elsewhere also. But I think the areas that you were talking about, Liz, last meeting with regard to these slightly hilly, sloping
Say
areas.
slightly over there.
Yeah, right. And I didn't think it was like that bad, but I'm just or invasive or taken over.
It's contained to
Yeah.
that spot.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and there may be more, but there was one that was sort of where her house is, like to the up towards Oak, at the end of the
Oak?
finger. Well, Oak Avenue, I meant.
There's Virginia.
Heading in that direction, I'm saying, like heading north or heading.
Oak is on the other side of Lake
Right,
Shore.
right. But I'm just saying, heading in that direction from if you're walking up the finger or whatever of Gerard behind her house, as you're going up towards the.
That whole hill is
Yeah,
stabilized
yeah.
with ivy. It's too steep of a slope to be stabilized with grass
Right.
and too much shade. But
So, but anyway, I mean that, and it was other vines and things. I wouldn't even think it was exclusively.
I do, to an extent, leave Virginia creeper. It's a really valuable native species. We keep it from going up the trees. Like once a year, we'll cut it back. But I leave it as a ground cover. It's
Okay.
native. And even poison ivy is native and has a lot of benefits. So as long as it's not in an area where people work or walk,
Right.
that gets left too.
Yeah. It led me to think about what you had talked about, the Ivy League and so forth. And is that something that we would want to sort of contemplate, building a cadre of, because I'm just thinking in terms of, we have people in town that, water and fill flower baskets, with the rehoboth in bloom, and it's a laudable enterprise that's going on there, and I think they're doing a great job. And obviously, what they do has a far greater impact to at least the tourist people, and because they're doing these things in much more highly trafficked areas, but at the same time, I think I think it's something that. I mean, when you think about Rehoboth, and I think in terms of, who's here, and I hate to say this, and I'm being somewhat tongue-in-cheek when I say this, but this is like a big retirement community here, and I think there's a lot of people here, and I don't mean to just say it's all old people and everything, but I am an old person, and therefore, that's what I see, but we have time on our hands. I got it. And so I'm just thinking, I think we have a potential here for organizing something that I think what people would get involved in and so forth. So I just want to pose it to you all. What would you like to do about that?
I'd sign up.
But here's my question. Sign up to do what?
That's a good question.
That's the most important one to
Right.
answer.
And this is not something that we're going to dump in your lap. You know what I mean?
All right, well, maybe.
Well,
we can't
we can't have, let me tell you, when we did the Ivy League, people decided they wanted to go off on their own. I caught people pruning branches, cutting down things. So yeah,
Right,
it
right.
has,
No,
it has to be.
I would envision that this would be, it's sort of an event-based, like we're going to have some kind of day that we're going to do what we're going to do, and it's going to be defined and that kind of thing. You know, like a project, a project
Day.
of limited scope that can be accomplished in a set amount of time,
we can
or
do-
multiple
right,
things or
multiple.
whatever, yeah.
Liz, okay, I have two questions. You went with us the last time.
Microphone.
You went with us the last time, right?
Went with you where?
To do, when we cut ivy down. You were with us, right?
Yeah, I was the
Yeah,
one with the
yeah,
whole, yeah.
So here's my question. If we identified trees, could we have a day that you could give us when we could go out and help you under your direction, cut ivy off of public trees?
Where?
Well, I have one in mind that I walk past every day. So,
I mean, one tree doesn't make for a
no, but
volunteer.
if,
Yeah, right.
but if we walked around and looked for the trees, if that would be our job right now, to go and identify trees and see whether we've got, you know, a couple hours worth of work, could you give us a day or a couple of hours, not even a day?
I mean, you can send me, quite frankly, if you want to send me a list of trees that are on public property that need the ivy cut off, that would be easier, and to not run a volunteer group. If we're just talking about a couple of hours, that's a lot of, it worked with Central Park because it's 7 acres.
yes.
And Deer Park is like 3, so we had 10 acres of ground to cover. If we're just talking about a couple of trees here and there, and you're not sure if it's ivy or Virginia creeper or what, it would be easier if you just sent me it in the form of a complaint, and then I would make a work order for it for my one staff member.
So we're the ivy walk around,
Well,
what do we call ourselves?
well, I don't know. Well, we can think about that. But here's my sort of take on this, however. I think it's part and parcel to doing this, and I'm not saying we're going to do this strictly for the visuals, but I think it helps to make some kind of a
Community
public
statement.
community statement, you know, and to raise awareness and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I'm sort of looking at, you know.
Well, volunteer events in general
Right.
are that way.
yeah.
The work, listen, I
Right.
used to
I mean,
take-
it's not some, I mean, I can certainly appreciate,
Yeah.
you know, it may not be the most productive way to do this. However, I think it just helps, you know, that's what I'm sort of looking at.
Yeah, so most of the time, a volunteer event, you're tackling large-scale projects that you need that manpower, but you do have a lot of prep and follow-up to make sure
Sure,
things
exactly,
are
yeah,
done, people
yeah.
are trained, things are done correctly and stuff like that.
Right.
But it is meant in terms of like awareness, right?
Right.
So to bring awareness
Right.
to an issue or a cause or whatever it may
And
be.
I think there's people involved, I would say myself in particular, would be happy to do the less visual stuff or the preparation stuff or the cleanup stuff or whatever, you know, for this, you know, and so that's where I'm sort of looking at it.
I have another area that I'm wondering about, and I know that it is state, but could we get permission, the area along Surf that goes down to Deauville Beach, that whole
The
area?
dunes? Yeah, probably. Well, I wouldn't say. The city does not have authority to go in there and do stuff
What
onto
if
the
we,
dune area.
could we get authority? Now, there is ivy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there.
That's,
and that would be really good for a volunteer group, honestly.
Would Ashley weigh in on that?
yes.
No, it wouldn't be
It's not
Ashley.
Ashley. I already took Ashley there.
Oh, okay.
Trust me.
No, that's
brought her.
Okay, all right,
that's
all right, all
I brought her there, and she told me that it's not her.
it's Denrek.
It's Denrick. So
I don't know what they would say.
Okay, so the takeaway, since we're running out of time,
Yeah.
would be that it would be helpful to you, and if we would just identify trees that are on city properties that have ivy.
Well, why don't we, okay.
And
Like
the land behind Kitty's house, is that city land, or is that her land? Is that her ivy? Is it,
There's no ivy directly behind her home, quite frankly.
okay.
None directly.
So she is complaining about,
An adjacent hillside.
okay.
It's like a couple of houses
And
down.
and if you, and if
I don't think it's like, I would not make that the center of our.
Let me put it
No, I
this way.
want, but as
It's-
I understand it, as you've said in the past, you really don't want to mess with that right now because you don't want to make the area unstable. But, so we're looking at identifying the tree here on this street or the tree on that street that's on a city street that has ivy. And it's not really like the Ivy League of the past because that was a big project and these are just identifying
mean,
places.
If you guys want to do that and email them to me, like I said, it gets entered essentially as a concern, a citizen complaint, and then I have to go and inspect it, and then if it creates a work order, it creates a work order to be taken care of. Typically in the off season, we don't have the manpower to do that this time of year. But I don't think my point was, I don't think those random trees out of the 10,000 trees we have on, or however many we have on city property in the right of way, I don't think that would generate enough consistent volunteer, to make it worthwhile for a volunteer group to go around like a brigade trooping through the streets and not knowing if it's on city property or land license agreement property or private property or state property. But the area by the dunes would be a good one if you were able to gain permission from
So,
DENREC.
do you have any connections in Denrick?
I know who I've asked to, because if we have dead trees in there, the city removes them, that are adjacent to people, not in the middle of the dunes where there's no trespassing.
When I ran the coastal cleanup for the city, or captained it, I would say, for the homeowners association, I would call DENREC to get permission to go into the dunes to clean them up. So you just call DENREC, they'll put you in touch with the right person and let you know whether or not you can or cannot go in there.
Yeah.
All right,
And I honestly don't know what they'll say,
okay.
because I don't know if they'll just want random people traipsing through the dunes cutting things.
Can I say that our arborist, we would not do this, we would do it with an arborist? Our arborist, could I say that when I call them?
I don't know if I have the physical time to go in and be there for hours, quite frankly. So if that's a condition, we can talk about it, but
Okay.
I don't feel good committing to
Well, I
that.
think we're still in the formative
Yeah,
stages
this
here,
is-
but
this
I
is-
mean,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I will take
Right,
it upon
so-
I will call.
Right. We're kind of closing in on time, so I just wanted to, obviously, I want to talk about this next time for this, I will include this in the future items, but I think something like this, I think would be worthwhile on a number of levels. We didn't discuss this, I had an item for new business, and I was kind of taken by comments that Tom Gaynor made at the last meeting with regard to suggesting or revisiting an idea of giving, having some kind of program for trees, for the city in terms of a giveaway or lower cost or group kind of thing. I don't know if we're prepared to kind of talk about this now, but I would certainly like to talk about that for the next meeting and investigate that. I would just say for the purposes of this, if we could all kind of put on our thinking caps and maybe our gardening gear, but to basically if we go out and investigate, or maybe come up with just a short, back of the napkin list of places or particular trees or something like that. So we can sort of have assemble a little inventory of possible places of attention and so forth, so we can talk about next time. Okay, so I think this was a good discussion. I think that we're kind of heading in.
Let me interrupt for a second.
Please.
So if this committee is going to assign tasks, so that's a lot different than a committee coming together and saying, we pulled up a list of 27 trees that need attention. that would have to go through my boss. So a
Sure,
committee can't
right.
technically
No,
assign me. If
again,
you-
I think it's just a matter of coming up with, what do we got?
Well,
How do you think this would work? You know, and obviously with you
I
and
think more efficient might just be for each person to come, if you want to do it this way, to come up with your own list and then just send them to me. That way it's just a citizen complaint versus having to run through the city manager for something.
Oh, sure.
I mean, also it depends if this is like hours and hours and hours of work that might still have to go through him.
No.
But
And I'm
if
not
it's
saying we would be
just-
doing all of it. I'm just saying that, you know, it's a matter of, here's what we got, you know, it can be prioritized, it could be made, you know, scheduled for later, you know. I would think that, you know, the things that I think we probably are more sensitive or more, you know, worse, let's put it that way, you know, maybe we could, you know, tackle the more egregious examples, you know, or something, you know. But again, we're at the very formative stages here, so I don't think, you know, I don't think we were ready to launch with our loppers and, you know, have at it, you know, so.
And I hear you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you're
We're not
saying is
trying to
clear. Yeah,
make
got
it,
it. Got it.
make a terrible, to make a terrible idea worse, you know. Okay. All right, let me, well, we're trying to wrap up here. Any other committee member comments? I think we've done enough damage possibly. I have the discuss items for future agendas, so I'm including this, including what we spoke about. The next meeting,
Oh, I'd like to add,
Jump in there.
if we could, firescaping.
yeah.
Back on the agenda.
Okay,
if
yeah,
that's
okay.
possible,
Right,
for the
okay,
next meeting.
right, okay. Let's do that. Okay,
And that's all.
yeah, and the next meeting, June, I don't have my calendar. Anybody know?
I don't have a calendar.
I have a
I can't look
calendar.
at the calendar.
Oops.
Is it June 9th?
Oops.
Is this mine? This is mine.
That's yours.
June 9th?
June 9th, this is second Friday.
Is it? Really?
Yep.
June 9th?
June
Thank you.
2nd would be the first.
Boy, so it's coming to us fast.
It is.
Yeah, okay, so we don't have a lot of
Well,
time.
we're
Yeah,
late this month, that's why.
right, that's true. Okay. So- And unfortunately, no citizens, so, okay, so unless anybody else has anything to say, it's a mook. I'm gonna hereby adjourn this meeting at 11:03 or thereabouts. And thank you all for being here, and thanks to Liz and to Ann. I appreciate